Clarence, and welcome back to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hottest and top trending topics, broadcasting live and direct from Zimbabwe, Africa. Now, what is happening in Zimbabwe? We are seeing a reaction on new electoral reforms in Zimbabwe. What are these guys proposing to change, or what has been changed, if already done? And also, the Mozambique SAGA Deepens. As we are seeing the Mozambique election rigging culprits getting exposed by their names, it's shocking details being revealed here. We're seeing their names in the Zimbabwe voters roll and also in the Mozambique's voters roll. Now this is very, very disturbing. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live right about now. Enough respect there. Anyways, without wasting any time, let's jump straight in it. Remember, Duma Boko was in Zimbabwe. Now on social media, we are seeing Zanu PF guys posting images of ED and Duma Boko all over. Now, one interesting picture is this picture that is showing on the screen right about now. Where is this? And where are these guys? What were they talking about here? This place doesn't look presidential. Then we see more posts on this. Now this one. Good morning, Wadikani. The extraordinary summit is kicking off. This one is shared by Nick Mangwana. Enough respect to Misana Ngongo, they're watching us live. This is shared by Nick Mangwana. Now this one doesn't have a serious caption. There are others with very serious captions we are seeing here. Like this one here by Derek Goto. It reads, President Boko of Botswana is now living the high life as part of a ruling party. His problems are nothing like Chamisa's struggle anymore. Even his circle of friends has leveled up. Look at him here, rubbing shoulders with none other than the SADC chair, President Emmerson Mnangagwa himself. Then he continues, he doesn't stop there. Chamisa can only fantasize about this level of political swag, the inner cycle of the elite. Chamisa, that's a VIP lounge. Your name is not on and probably will never be. Wow. Now that's a very serious attack there. We are seeing a very serious attack on Nelson Chamisa. Anyways, that's not the only image again. We have another one captioned. This one reads, Heads of States, Botswana President is now into a new league, a league of the heads of states and ruling party. What Chamisa can do is to sleep and dream to be president of Zimbabwe only in dreams. It seems these guys are really afraid of Nelson Chamisa. They know what is about to come. That is the only reason why something posts like this may be posted. Anyways, this is a free nation. We have a freedom of expression. Anybody has a right to express themselves. Enough respect to Martin Garrett says, Doc, how are you? Thanks for updating, watching from Pretoria. Thank you very much for that positive feedback coming there. Enough respect to you and big up to you there. Now we are still experiencing 24-hour load shedding, as in Zesa is not even coming back. So right now I'm still broadcasting using my phone. I'm still charging my batteries so that they go above voltage, so we can start using the machine. Now we see, yesterday we saw this headline, right, by the Sunday Mail. Harare to demolish 5,000 houses. Then today we see in the news day they put a headline which says government stops Harare demolitions. This is one day after we saw the Newsday article. Who should we believe? Because these demolitions have been happening in Zimbabwe every year for more than 7 years. For more than 7 years, every year somewhere gets demolished. Then we see another one here, ED, in constitutional violation over security minister. Supreme Court upholds ruling on Mugodi Rengo. Anyways, let's see what this fresh doubt cast on SADC as leaders meet what is being revealed here. To those watching us live, make sure you click the like button. Enough respect there. Now this one goes. Fresh doubt cast on SADC as leaders meet. Political observers have expressed skepticism about SADC's ability to resolve the political crisis in Mozambique triggered by disputed elections in October this year. This comes when analysts have released fresh evidence of Zimbabweans voting in Mozambique's disputed elections, casting a shadow over President Emmerson Mnangagwa's leadership as SADC chairperson. The regional bloc has called for an extraordinary summit in Harare with heads of states and government meeting on Wednesday this week. The summit is expected to deliberate on political developments in the regions that include the post-election crisis in neighboring Mozambique and violence in eastern Congo. I'm not sure if these guys are going to be talking about the Mozambique because on the official website, they don't mention anything to do with Mozambique. Rather, they mention DRC. Now, let's continue. Data analyst Tim Pachedu said they compiled evidence of Zimbabweans are voting. All right, let's go deeper and find out what the evidence here is. Preliminary data released showed that local registered voters who also voted in the neighboring country's elections. For instance, now they are revealing names. One called Rejoice Mutambara, registered in Masvingo province in 2023, appears on page 6,892 of Zimbabwe's voters roll under record 502,982. But voted in the Mozambican election according to Tim Pachedu. I don't know how they knew that he voted or she voted. Another registered voter, Omega Mutiro of Mashonaland East Province, appears on page 951 of the voters roll under record 73,133, but also voted in the Mozambican election. Okay, now this evidence is not conclusive. It's rather hanging. They should have then mentioned the same person, their location in the Mozambique voters roll. They only mention these people in the Zimbabwe voters roll, but not in the Mozambique voters roll. Remember, allegations like this should be having weight for them to have weight. Big up to Mzungu Kumashingo. Mzungu Mashingo, big up there. All right. So one of Tim Pachedu representatives would say this. On that sample, we saw that there were Zimbabweans in Masvingo, Mashonaland East and Mashonaland Province who voted in that election. The Mozambique law does not allow dual citizenship. So, on that basis, these individuals should not have been allowed to vote. We must also emphasize that this was only a sample, but it has traces of what appears to be a manipulation of the Mozambique elections. Most of these surnames are mostly Shona ones. Now, the data analysis is still ongoing to find out the number of Zimbabweans who voted in the election. Yesterday, we saw another publication suggesting that it's 290,000. Political analysts said the failure by SADC to take the action on Zimbabwe's shambolic 2023 polls was a red flag on its capacity to resolve electoral disputes in the region. SADC is notorious for being a nerve talk shop, analyst Robin Mbofana said. It can't enforce anything. As such, there is really nothing much SADC can do to stop the unrest in Mozambique. The body can't even order another sovereign state to do anything. It can only recommend. The best SADC can do is to issue a communique urging all parties in Mozambique to resolve any electoral disputes peacefully by exhausting all legal avenues and dialogue. In a joint statement, co-conveners of Concerned Citizens Platform Ibo Mandaza and Tony Rila urged the SADC summit to treat the matter with all seriousness and not brush the problems under the door as it did with the Zimbabwe 2023 elections. While regional cooperation and international pressure could help de-escalate the tensions in Mozambique, Mozambique's leaders and institutions bear the ultimate responsibility for building a stable and democratic nation, they said. However, as Zimbabwe, Mozambique requires SADC and the international community to recognize. All right, my microphone just ran out of battery there. To those watching us live, can you confirm if you can still hear me? Now, however, as the Zimbabwe Mozambique requires SADC and the international community to recognize the gravity of the situation, to push for reform and not merely stability, above all, to realize that elections in the absence of strong institutions create problems and not solve them, and that pressing problem throughout the region is the absence of strong institutions, not merely strong election management bodies. Then we see Job Scala weighing in on this. What does he say? He says SADC resolution could not supersede Mozambique's laws. The crisis in Mozambique is man-made, and the only solution is to the crisis is to allow the will of the people of Mozambique to prevail. That will be Job Scala. And he continues, the extraordinary SADC summit will just be a talk show of the Mozambican Constitutional Council has not announced its verdict on the election outcome. It has asked for some extra 20 days to meticulously look at the election results, which will expire early next month. The extraordinary SADC summit cannot pass resolutions that will try to submit the decision of the Mozambique Constitutional Council. So we're seeing a few names are being released here, and they are being mentioned as existing in the Zimbabwe voters' roll. But that alone is not conclusive, in that we only see the information is only mentioned from the side here, the Zimbabwe voters' roll, and no other side of the story is mentioned here. Now we see this one, proposed electoral amendments, retrogressive MDC. So the MDC is still there. Imagine. Big up to Sanangurai Machaka, says is Timpa Chedu simply mudding with the waters? Yeah, it seems so. There is nothing really conclusive that can be used as evidence that they are suggesting. I think that is the reason why most of the guys would lose